A pause. Fine. Thursday at 6. And I'll wear the red dress you mentioned. The phone call ended. Footsteps approached the garage door. I grabbed my wrench and dove back under the hood, my mind racing. 22 years of marriage, 2 kids, a mortgage we'd been chipping away at for 15 years, and now this. Hey, honey. Lila's voice was cheerful, normal, like she hadn't just arranged to meet her boss at a motel. How's the truck coming along? I looked up at her, studying the face I'd kissed goodbye every morning for over 2 decades. Same brown eyes, same smile lines around her mouth. But now I saw something else, a practiced innocence that made my skin crawl. Good as new, I said, forcing a smile. Just needs a few more adjustments. She nodded absently, already checking her phone. I'll be working late again tomorrow. Carson's got us on a tight deadline for the Morrison account. Of course he does. She glanced up sharply. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Just seems like Carson keeps you pretty busy these days. Lila's expression softened, and she walked over to kiss my forehead. You know I'm doing this for us, right? For our future. The promotion Carson's considering would mean a 40% raise. I nodded, tasting the lie on her lips. I know. I'm proud of you. After she went inside, I stood alone in the garage, staring at my reflection in the truck's side mirror. At 43, I looked older than my years. Gray streaking through my brown hair, lines etched deep around my eyes from 20 years of construction work. Maybe that's why she'd turned to Carson. Successful, wealthy Carson with his corner office and his BMW. But they'd underestimated me, both of them. The next morning, I woke before dawn, as usual. Lila was already in the shower, getting ready for another day of climbing the corporate ladder. I made coffee and sat at our kitchen table, watching the sunrise through the window above the sink. Our daughter Maya wandered downstairs, backpack slung over her shoulder. At 16, she had her mother's eyes, but my stubborn streak. Dad, can you drive me to school today? Mom said she has an early meeting. Sure thing, kiddo. Maya poured herself a bowl of cereal and sat across from me. Is everything okay? You seem, I don't know, different lately. Smart girl. Too smart for her own good sometimes. Just tired. Work's been rough. She studied my face the way teenagers do when they're trying to decode adult problems. Are you and Mom fighting? No fighting, just adjusting to some changes. Lila appeared in the doorway, dressed in her power suit, hair perfectly styled. She looked beautiful. She also looked guilty as sin. Morning, sweetheart. She kissed Maya's cheek, then mine. I might be late again tonight. Carson wants to review the Morrison presentation one more time. On a Thursday night? Maya asked. Business doesn't keep banker's hours, honey. Lila grabbed her purse and headed for the door. Love you both. After she left, Maya turned to me. Dad, what's the Morrison account? I paused, coffee mug halfway to my lips. What do you mean? Mom's been talking about it for weeks, but I looked up her company online yesterday for a school project. They don't have any client named Morrison. My daughter, 16 years old and already a better detective than most adults. Maybe it's confidential, I said carefully. Maya shrugged, but I could see the wheels turning in her head. She'd inherited my skeptical nature and her mother's intelligence, a dangerous combination. That afternoon, I did something I'd never done in 22 years of marriage. I went through Lila's things. She kept her laptop in our bedroom, usually locked in her briefcase. But today she'd left it on the dresser, plugged in and charging. The screen was dark, but when I touched the trackpad, it lit up without asking for a password. My hands shook as I navigated to her email. Nothing unusual in her work account, just routine messages about actual clients and projects. But then I noticed a second email tab open at the bottom of the screen. A Gmail account I'd never seen before. The username was Lila Rose 2024, her maiden name, and the current year. The inbox was full of messages from cmorrison.executiveajmail.com. Morrison, not a client, a code name. I clicked on the most recent email, sent yesterday at 11:47 p.m. Can't stop thinking about our last meeting. The way you negotiated was impressive. Same terms as before. I'll make sure your performance review reflects your dedication to the company. My wife's response, sent this morning. My dedication has limits, Carson. If you want me to continue exceeding expectations, we need to discuss a more permanent arrangement, the raise we talked about, plus the promotion, and no more late-night texts with your wife in the next room. I scrolled down, finding weeks of similar exchanges. Explicit negotiations disguised as business discussions, meeting times and locations, promises of career advancement in exchange for services that had nothing to do with marketing. My wife wasn't just cheating, she was prostituting herself for a promotion. I took screenshots of everything, uploading them to a secure cloud folder I created on the spot. Then I cleared the browser history and closed the laptop, leaving it exactly as I'd found it. For the next hour, I sat on our bed, staring at the wall where we'd hung our wedding photos, young faces full of hope and promises. For better or worse, in sickness and in health. I guess nobody mentions what happens when worse includes your spouse selling themselves to their boss. That evening, Lila came home with takeout from our favorite Chinese restaurant. She was in an unusually good mood, humming while she set the table. "How was your day?" she asked, the same question she'd asked every night for over 2 decades. "Productive," I said. "Very productive." We ate dinner with Maya, discussing her upcoming chemistry test and her plans for prom. Normal family conversation, normal family life, except nothing was normal anymore. After Maya went upstairs to do homework, Lila and I cleaned the kitchen together. She washed, I dried, our routine since the early days of our marriage. "Jack," she said suddenly, not looking at me, "do you ever think about what our life might have been like if we'd made different choices?" I paused, dish towel in my hands. Different how? I don't know. If I'd been more ambitious earlier. If I'd pushed harder for promotions, made more money, we could have had a bigger house, better vacations, more opportunities for Maya. "We've done fine," I said carefully. "Fine isn't enough anymore." She turned to face me, her eyes bright with something I couldn't identify. "I want more, Jack. I want what I deserve." "And what do you deserve, Lila?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Everything I'm willing to work for." The next morning was Thursday, the day of her meeting at the Red Roof Inn. I called in sick to work, something I'd done maybe 5 times in 20 years. Then I drove to the motel and parked across the street at a gas station, positioning myself where I could see the parking lot. At 5:45 p.m., a black BMW pulled into the lot. Carson Morrison stepped out, adjusting his tie and checking his watch. He was exactly what I'd expected: tall, silver-haired, expensive suit. The kind of man who took what he wanted and justified it later. At 6:02 p.m., Lila's Honda Accord arrived. She was wearing the red dress, just as promised. From my position across the street, I watched her walk to room 237, where Carson was waiting with the door already open. I sat in my truck for 2 hours, watching that door, imagining what was happening behind it. When they finally emerged, Carson handed Lila an envelope. She counted the contents quickly before tucking it into her purse. Payment for services rendered. I followed Carson's BMW to an upscale neighborhood on the north side of town. He pulled into the driveway of a massive colonial house with perfectly manicured landscaping. Through the front window, I could see a woman moving around inside, tall, blonde, elegant, his wife. I drove home and found Lila in the shower, washing off the evidence of her evening. When she came to bed, she was affectionate in a way she hadn't been for months. Guilty affection, trying to balance the scales. "How was your evening?" I asked. "Long meeting, but productive. Carson thinks the Morrison account is really going to pay off." I rolled over and pretended to sleep, listening to her breathe beside me. 22 years of marriage, and I was sharing a bed with a stranger, but not for much longer. The next day, I began my research. Carson Morrison was easier to investigate than I'd expected. Successful people leave digital footprints everywhere. LinkedIn, company website, local newspaper articles about his business achievements. More importantly, I found information about his wife, Patricia Morrison. She was a family law attorney with her own practice, specializing in high-asset divorces. The irony was almost too perfect. I spent the weekend creating an anonymous email account and carefully crafting my message. No accusations, no emotional language, just facts, timestamps, and evidence. On Monday morning, I sent Patricia Morrison an encrypted email with a simple subject line: "Information you should have." The message was brief. "Mrs. Morrison, I believe your husband is engaging in inappropriate conduct with an employee. I'm providing this information because you deserve to know the truth. The attached files contain evidence that speaks for itself. I included screenshots of every email exchange, photos I'd taken at the motel, and a detailed timeline of meetings and payments. Then I went to work and waited." Tuesday morning, Lila was unusually quiet over breakfast. She kept checking her phone, frowning at the screen. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Carson seems stressed about something. He's called 3 emergency meetings since yesterday." "Maybe the Morrison account isn't going as well as expected." She looked up sharply. "Why would you say that?" "Just a guess. You said it was important to him." Wednesday evening, Lila came home early, her face pale and drawn. "Carson's wife filed for divorce," she announced without preamble. "She's claiming adultery and demanding half of everything." "That's terrible," I said, mustering appropriate sympathy. "Do they know who she's accusing him of having an affair with?" No, but HR is launching an investigation. They're interviewing everyone on our team. Lila sank into a chair at the kitchen table. Jack, what if someone thinks I was involved? What if they think I was the other woman? I sat down across from her, taking her hands in mine. Why would anyone think that? I don't know. Maybe because I've been working late so much. Maybe because Carson has been mentoring me. Is there any reason someone might get the wrong idea about your relationship with Carson? She stared at me for a long moment, searching my face. No, she said finally. Of course not. But I could see the fear in her eyes. She knew exactly why someone might get that idea. Thursday morning brought news that Carson had been placed on administrative leave pending the HR investigation. By Thursday afternoon, Lila received a call asking her to meet with HR on Friday morning. They're interviewing everyone individually, she told me that evening. Carson's assistant, the other marketing coordinators, even the cleaning staff. I'm sure it's just routine, I said. They have to be thorough. Friday evening, Lila came home devastated. The HR meeting had not gone well. They had emails, Jack. Emails between Carson and someone in the company. Explicit negotiations about trading favors for promotions. That's awful. Did they say who? No, but they asked me specifically about my relationship with Carson, about whether he'd ever made inappropriate advances or offered career benefits in exchange for personal favors. What did you tell them? The truth, that Carson has always been professional with me. Another lie, delivered with the same practiced innocence I'd learned to recognize. I'm sure they'll figure out who the real culprit is, I said. Someone who would actually do something like that. Over the weekend, the local newspaper picked up the story. Local executive under investigation for workplace misconduct. The article didn't name Carson specifically, but everyone in town knew which company was involved. Maya read the article over breakfast on Sunday morning. Isn't this Mom's company? She asked. Yes, but Mom works in marketing. This is about someone in the executive suite. Still, it's gross. Imagine being so desperate for a promotion that you'd... She made a disgusted face. I mean, what kind of person does that? Lila excused herself from the table abruptly. Monday morning brought the news I'd been waiting for. Carson Morrison had been terminated, and his wife's divorce attorney had frozen all of his assets pending the proceedings. More importantly, the promotion Lila had been expecting was indefinitely postponed. The new interim executive team was reviewing all recent personnel decisions, including pending raises and advancement opportunities. They're basically starting over, Lila explained that evening. Anyone who worked closely with Carson is being scrutinized. That doesn't seem fair to you, I said. You were just doing your job. I know, but appearances matter. And with all the rumors flying around, she trailed off, staring out the kitchen window. Jack, do you think someone at the company might have it out for me? What do you mean? Someone who might want to sabotage my career. Someone jealous of my relationship with Carson. Your professional relationship, I clarified. Of course, my professional relationship. Tuesday brought more bad news. Patricia Morrison's divorce attorney had subpoenaed company records, including all email communications and personnel files related to Carson's direct reports. Lila was a nervous wreck. They're going through everything, she told me. Every email, every meeting, every performance review. What if they misinterpret something? What if they think I was involved in whatever Carson was doing? Were you involved? She looked at me like I'd slapped her. How can you even ask me that? I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm just saying, if you weren't involved, then you have nothing to worry about. But we both knew she had everything to worry about. Wednesday evening, Lila received a call from HR requesting another meeting. This time, they wanted her to bring her personal devices, phone, laptop, tablet, for a forensic review. They can't do that, can they? She asked me, panic creeping into her voice. I don't know. Maybe you should call a lawyer. A lawyer? Jack, that would make me look guilty. Guilty of what? She didn't answer. Thursday morning, I drove Lila to her HR meeting. She was pale and shaking, clutching her purse like a lifeline. I'll pick you up in a few hours, I told her. What if they fire me, Jack? What if they think I was the woman Carson was having an affair with? Then we'll figure it out. We always do. She kissed me goodbye, and for a moment, she looked like the young woman I'd married all those years ago, vulnerable and scared and human. I almost felt sorry for her. The call came at 2:17 p.m. Jack, I need you to pick me up. Now. Lila's voice was barely a whisper, strained and hollow. I found her sitting on a bench outside the corporate office building, staring at her hands. Her professional facade had crumbled completely. She looked like a woman who just watched her world collapse. They fired me, she said as soon as I sat down beside her. Effective immediately. Violation of company policy regarding inappropriate relationships with supervisors. Did they have proof? She laughed bitterly. They had everything, Jack. Emails, text messages, financial records. Someone gave them a complete dossier of Carson's activities, including... She stopped, unable to continue. Including what? Including evidence that I was involved. We sat in silence for several minutes, watching employees stream in and out of the building where Lila had worked for 8 years, where she'd built her career, where she'd thrown it all away for a man who'd probably forgotten her name by now. Who do you think turned you in? I asked. I don't know. Someone with access to Carson's personal communications. Someone who wanted to destroy both of us. Maybe it was his wife. Maybe she hired a private investigator. Lila shook her head. The evidence was too detailed, too organized. This was someone on the inside, someone who knew exactly what they were looking for. On the drive home, she made me pull over twice so she could throw up. The stress was eating her alive, and part of me, a part I wasn't proud of, enjoyed watching her suffer. What are we going to do? She asked as we sat in our driveway. The mortgage, Maya's college fund, our savings. We can't survive on just your income. We'll figure something out. Will we? Because right now it feels like our entire life is falling apart, and I don't understand how it happened so fast. I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in weeks. The woman who'd betrayed our marriage, who'd sold herself for a promotion that would never come, who'd lied to my face every single day while she destroyed our family. Maybe it's karma, I said quietly. What's that supposed to mean? Maybe when you make bad choices, bad things happen. She stared at me, her eyes narrowing. Are you saying I deserved this? I'm saying actions have consequences. I was trying to build a better life for our family. By sleeping with your boss? The words hung in the air between us like a loaded weapon. Lila's face went white, then red, then white again. How did you... She stopped herself, but it was too late. How did I what, Lila? Nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? We stared at each other across the front seat of my truck. 22 years of marriage reduced to this moment of ugly truth. Jack, I can explain. Can you? Can you explain why my wife was meeting Carson Morrison at the Red Roof Inn every Thursday for the past 3 months? Can you explain the envelope full of cash he gave you? Can you explain the emails where you negotiated your services like a business transaction? Her mouth opened and closed soundlessly. Finally, she whispered, How long have you known? Long enough. Why didn't you say anything? I started the truck and pulled into our garage. Because I wanted to see how far you'd go. I wanted to see if the woman I married was still in there somewhere, or if she'd been completely replaced by someone I don't recognize. And I have my answer. That evening, Maya noticed the tension immediately. Lila had locked herself in our bedroom, claiming a headache. I was making dinner alone, something that hadn't happened in years. Dad, what's going on? Mom looks like someone died. Your mother lost her job today. Maya's eyes widened. Fired? Yeah, company restructuring. Is that why you two were acting weird in the truck? I saw you from my bedroom window. You looked like you were fighting. Smart girl, too smart. We're just stressed about money. Don't worry about it. But Maya was already worrying. I could see it in her face. The same expression she'd worn as a little girl when she sensed trouble between her parents. Are you and Mom getting divorced? The question hit me like a punch to the gut. Not because it was unexpected, but because I realized I didn't know the answer. We're going through a rough patch, I said finally, but we're going to work it out. Promise? I promise we'll do what's best for everyone. It wasn't the reassurance she wanted, but it was the only honest answer I could give. Later that night, after Maya had gone to bed, Lila emerged from our bedroom. She'd been crying, her eyes were red and swollen, but she'd composed herself enough to attempt a conversation. We need to talk, she said. I'm listening. She sat across from me at the kitchen table, the same place where we'd shared thousands of meals, made countless plans, built a life together. What I did was wrong, she began. I know that. But Jack, I was desperate. We've been struggling financially for years, and when Carson offered me an opportunity to advance my career, by prostituting yourself, she flinched. It wasn't like that. What was it like, Lila? Explain it to me. It was transactional, professional. Carson needed someone he could trust for sensitive projects, and I needed the promotion. It wasn't emotional, it wasn't romantic, it was just business. Just business. You sold your body to your boss, lied to your family for months, and destroyed our marriage for business. I was trying to save our marriage. Do you know how humiliating it is to be the only wife in my social circle who can't afford nice things? Who has to shop at discount stores and clip coupons while everyone else talks about their vacations to Europe? So this is my fault because I'm not rich enough for you? No, that's not what I'm saying. She reached across the table, trying to take my hands, but I pulled away. I'm saying I made a mistake, a terrible, stupid mistake, but I did it for us. You did it for you. Fine, maybe I did. Maybe I was selfish and stupid and desperate. But Jack, we can get past this. We can rebuild. I'll find another job. We'll go to counseling. Will we? Because right now, I'm not sure I want to rebuild anything with you. She started crying again, quiet tears that might have moved me a few weeks ago. Now they just made me angry. Please don't give up on us, she whispered. Please don't give up on our family. I didn't give up on our family, Lila. You did. The moment you decided Carson Morrison was worth more than your marriage. I left her sitting at the table and went to bed in the guest room. Through the thin walls, I could hear her sobbing until well past midnight. The next morning brought new humiliations. Word of Lila's firing had spread through our neighborhood with the efficiency of a wildfire. Mrs. Henderson from across the street made a point of asking about Lila's situation while I was getting my mail. Bob Martinez from next door offered his condolences about our family troubles with a smirk that suggested he knew more than he was letting on. Small towns are like that. Secrets don't stay secret for long. Maya came downstairs for breakfast, looking like she hadn't slept. Kids at school are saying Mom got fired for sleeping with her boss, she said without preamble. I nearly choked on my coffee. What? Emma Patterson's mom works at the same company. She told Emma that Mom was involved in some kind of scandal with an executive. Maya? Is it true, Dad? I stared at my 16-year-old daughter, this brilliant, beautiful girl who deserved better than having her family's dirty laundry aired at her high school. Your mother made some poor choices, I said carefully, but that doesn't change how much we both love you. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I can give you right now. She pushed her cereal around her bowl, not eating. Are you going to leave her? I don't know. Are you going to make me choose? The question broke my heart. No, sweetheart. Whatever happens between your mother and me, you'll never have to choose. We're both your parents, and that will never change. But everything else will. Yeah, everything else will. After Maya left for school, I found Lila in the kitchen, staring at her laptop screen with a defeated expression. Job hunting? I asked. Trying to, but word travels fast in this industry. 3 companies have already withdrawn interview offers after running background checks. Maybe you should try a different industry. At 41? With a scandal following me? Jack, I'm unemployable. You should have thought about that before you decided to advance your career on your back. She slammed the laptop shut. How long are you going to punish me? How long are you going to throw this in my face? I'm not punishing you, Lila. I'm just not pretending everything is fine. So what's your plan? We sit here and hate each other until we lose the house? Until Maya has to change schools because we can't afford to live here anymore? My plan is to figure out how to trust my wife again. But so far, you haven't given me much to work with. What do you want me to do? I've apologized. I've admitted I was wrong. I've lost my job, my reputation, my career. What more do you want? I want to understand why you thought it was acceptable to betray our marriage for money. Because I was tired of being poor. The words exploded out of her, raw and desperate. I was tired of watching other women my age live the lives I wanted. I was tired of shopping at thrift stores and driving a car with 200,000 miles on it and telling Maya she couldn't do things because we couldn't afford them. So you decided to become a prostitute. I decided to take control of my life by giving control to Carson Morrison. She stared at me, her chest heaving with emotion. You don't understand what it's like to feel powerless in your own life. Don't I? I've worked construction for 20 years, Lila. I've watched younger guys get promoted over me because they had college degrees or family connections. I've taken overtime shifts I didn't want and worked in conditions that could have broken me, all to provide for our family. And not once did I consider betraying you to get ahead. That's different. How is it different? Because you're a man, you don't have to worry about aging out of opportunities. You don't have to smile and nod while less qualified men get the promotions you deserve. So you decided to sleep your way to the top? I decided to use every advantage available to me, including destroying our marriage. She was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was barely audible. I never meant for you to find out. That makes it worse, not better. Why? If you'd never known, we could have been happy. I would have gotten the promotion, we would have had more money, and everyone would have been better off. Everyone except me. Everyone except the husband who was living a lie. Sometimes lies are kinder than truth. Not this lie, Lila. Not this truth. That afternoon, I did something I'd been avoiding for days. I called my brother Danny in Phoenix and told him everything. Danny listened without interruption, occasionally grunting or swearing under his breath. When I finished, he was quiet for a long time. Jesus, Jack, I'm sorry. Yeah, me too. What are you going to do? I don't know. Part of me wants to throw her out and file for divorce tomorrow. But Maya will be fine. Kids are tougher than we think. Are they? Because right now she's dealing with rumors at school and watching her parents' marriage fall apart in real time. You didn't cause this, Jack. Lila did. I know. But I'm the one who has to decide what happens next. Have you talked to a lawyer? Not yet.
You cheated on me. You betrayed me. You destroyed our family.
Yes, I cheated. And you're the one to blame. You were never there for me. We're divorcing.
You get nothing. The house is mine. The money is mine. You'll live on the street. What?
Want to know who I cheated with? Your boss! He's a real man!
You're finished! I'll make sure you get nothing! You hear me? Nothing!
I don't need your money. I'm leaving you for him. He's twice the man you are. And you know what else?
I keep thinking maybe we can work it out somehow. Can you? Can you really forgive her for this? I stared out the window at our backyard, where Maya used to play on the swing set I'd built when she was 5, where Lila and I had hosted barbecues and birthday parties and all the normal celebrations of a normal family life. I don't know, I said finally. I honestly don't know. That evening, Maya asked if she could stay at her friend Emma's house for the weekend. I just need a break from all the drama, she said. Is that okay? Of course. But Maya, if you want to talk about anything, I know, Dad. But right now, I just want to pretend my life is normal for a couple days. After she left, the house felt eerily quiet. Lila was upstairs, presumably still job hunting. I was in the living room, watching a baseball game and trying not to think about the future. Around 10 o'clock, Lila came downstairs wearing the robe I'd bought her for Christmas 2 years ago. She sat on the opposite end of the couch, maintaining careful distance. I've been thinking, she said. About what? About what you said. About understanding why I did what I did. I muted the television and turned to face her. I grew up poor, Jack. Really poor. My father worked 2 jobs and we still couldn't afford basic things. I swore I'd never live like that again. We're not poor, Lila. We're middle class. We have a house, cars, food on the table. But we're not rich, and I wanted to be rich. I wanted to have enough money that I never had to worry about paying bills or affording things for Maya. So you decided to earn it by sleeping with Carson. I decided to do whatever it took to give our family a better life. Our family didn't need a better life. We needed a wife and mother who valued her integrity more than her bank account. She was quiet for a moment, picking at the belt of her robe. Do you think I'm a terrible person? The question caught me off guard. For weeks, I'd been so focused on my own anger and betrayal that I hadn't considered what this was doing to her sense of self. I think you're a person who made terrible choices, I said finally. But I don't think you're fundamentally terrible. Do you think you could ever forgive me? I don't know. Right now I can barely look at you without feeling sick. She nodded, tears starting again. I understand. Do you? Because I don't think you understand what you've destroyed. It's not just our marriage, Lila. It's our family. It's Maya's sense of security. It's 22 years of trust and partnership and shared dreams. I know. Do you? Because if you really understood what you'd done, you never would have done it in the first place. She stood up, tightening the belt on her robe. I'm going to bed. In the guest room. I think we both need some space. Yeah, we do. After she went upstairs, I sat alone in our living room, surrounded by the remnants of our life together. Wedding photos, family vacations, Maya's school pictures, evidence of 2 decades spent building something that had been destroyed in a matter of months. I thought about Danny's question. Could I really forgive her? The honest answer was that I didn't know, and that uncertainty was almost worse than the betrayal itself. Because if I couldn't forgive her, our marriage was over. And if our marriage was over, Maya would grow up in a broken home. shuttling between parents who couldn't stand to be in the same room together. But if I stayed, if I tried to rebuild our marriage on the foundation of Lila's lies and betrayal, what kind of message was I sending to our daughter? That marriage vows were negotiable, that trust was optional, that love was enough to excuse any betrayal? I didn't have answers to any of these questions. All I knew was that the woman I'd married had disappeared somewhere along the way, replaced by someone I didn't recognize, someone who could look me in the eye and lie without flinching, someone who could sell herself to her boss and call it career advancement, someone who could destroy our family and call it love. The baseball game ended, but I didn't move from the couch. I sat there until well past midnight, staring at our wedding photo on the mantel and wondering if the people in that picture had ever really existed at all. Monday morning brought a new humiliation. I was having coffee at Jerry's diner before work when I overheard two guys from the electrical union talking at the counter. You hear about Jack Patterson's wife? Got caught trading favors with her boss for a promotion. No kidding? Jack's a good guy. That's rough. Yeah, word is she was meeting the guy at that sleazy motel on Highway 9. Real classy. I paid my check and left without finishing my coffee, feeling the weight of their stares on my back. By lunchtime, half the construction crew knew about Lila's situation. Most of them had the decency not to mention it directly, but I could see it in their faces. Pity mixed with the kind of morbid curiosity people have about other people's disasters. Hey, Jack, my foreman Mike called me over during the afternoon break. You doing okay, man? If you need some time off, I'm fine. Because if you want to talk, or if you need anything, I said I'm fine. Mike nodded, but I could see he wasn't convinced. Neither was I, honestly. I felt like I was walking around with a neon sign flashing cuckold above my head. When I got home, I found Lila in the kitchen, staring at her phone with a stricken expression. What now? I asked. Someone posted about me on Facebook, one of those local gossip groups. They didn't use my name, but they included enough details that everyone knows it's me. She showed me the post. Anyone else hear about the marketing executive who got fired for sleeping with her boss? Apparently she was meeting him at the Red Roof Inn for months. Some women have no shame. Feel sorry for her husband and daughter. The post had 37 comments, most of them speculation about Lila's identity and moral character. A few people had figured out it was her and posted thinly veiled references to our family. This is going to follow me forever, she said. Every job interview, every social situation, every parent-teacher conference, everyone's going to know what I did. Maybe you should have thought about that before you did it. Jack, please, I'm drowning here. I need you to help me figure out how to get through this. I'm not sure I can help you, Lila, and I'm still trying to figure out how to get through this myself. She set down her phone and looked at me with something approaching desperation. What if we moved? Started over somewhere new? With what money? You lost your job, remember? And I can't exactly transfer my construction skills to a place where nobody knows us. We could sell the house? And do what? Rent an apartment with the proceeds while we both look for work in a new city? That's not starting over, Lila. That's running away. Maybe running away is exactly what we need to do. Maya has one more year of high school. She has friends, activities, a life here. You want to uproot her because you can't face the consequences of your choices? I want to protect her from this mess. The mess you created. Yes, the mess I created. Are you happy now? I've admitted it was my fault. I've apologized. I've lost everything that mattered to me. What more do you want? I want my wife back. The woman I married. The woman who would never have considered doing what you did. That woman was naive and stupid and broke. This woman learned how to take control of her life. This woman destroyed her life. And mine. And Maya's. We stared at each other across the kitchen. The same space where we'd shared breakfast that morning 20 years ago as newlyweds. Where we'd celebrated Maya's first steps. Where we'd made plans and shared dreams and built the foundation of our family. Now it felt like a crime scene. I'm going to ask you a question, I said finally, and I want an honest answer. Okay. If you could go back and do it all over again, knowing what you know now, would you still sleep with Carson? She was quiet for a long time, long enough that I began to think she wasn't going to answer. I don't know, she said finally. You don't know? The rational part of me says no, of course not. But the part of me that was desperate for a better life, I honestly don't know if I would make a different choice. It was the most honest thing she'd said since this whole nightmare began. It was also the most devastating. Then we don't have anything left to talk about. I walked out of the kitchen, leaving her standing alone with her phone and her regrets. That weekend, Maya came home from Emma's house with news that made everything worse. Dad, Kids at school are saying you knew about Mom's affair and that you helped her cover it up. What? Some people think you were blackmailing Carson too, or that you were pimping Mom out for money. The words hit me like a physical blow. Not only was I the cuckolded husband, now I was being portrayed as a willing participant in my own humiliation. Maya, you know that's not true. I know, but other people don't. And some of the parents are saying I shouldn't be around their kids because our family is unstable. Who's saying that? Does it matter? The point is, this isn't just affecting Mom anymore. It's affecting both of us. She was right. Lila's choices had created a contamination zone around our entire family. Maya was being ostracized at school, I was being pitied and whispered about at work, and we were all paying the price for one person's betrayal. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. It's not your fault, Dad, but I need to know what's going to happen to our family. I wish I could tell you. I'm still trying to figure that out myself. Are you going to divorce Mom? Probably. It was the first time I'd said it out loud, and the words felt both terrifying and liberating. Will I have to choose who to live with? We'll work something out that's best for you. What if what's best for me is having parents who don't hate each other? Maya, I know Mom messed up. I know what she did was wrong, but she's still my mother, and you're still my father, and I love you both. I just want our family to stop falling apart. She started crying then, 16 years old and carrying the weight of her parents' failures. I held her while she sobbed, feeling like the worst father in the world for not being able to fix this. I'm going to make this right, I promised her. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to find a way to make this right. But even as I said the words, I wasn't sure what right looked like anymore. That night, after Maya had gone to bed, I found Lila sitting on the back porch, staring at the stars. Mind if I join you? She gestured to the empty chair beside her. We sat in silence for several minutes, listening to the crickets and the distant sound of traffic. I've been thinking about what you asked me, she said finally, about whether I would make the same choice again. And? The answer is no. Not because I think what I did was morally wrong, though it was, but because I didn't understand the cost. I thought I could compartmentalize it, keep it separate from our family life. But you couldn't. No, it infected everything. Every time I looked at you or Maya, I felt guilty. Every time we made love, I thought about Carson. Every family dinner, every conversation, every normal moment was poisoned by what I was doing. Then why didn't you stop? Because I was in too deep? Carson made it clear that if I backed out, he'd make sure I never got promoted anywhere. And by then, I'd already sacrificed so much that stopping felt like admitting it was all for nothing. So you kept going. I kept going. And I told myself it was temporary. That once I got the promotion and the raise, I could end it and we'd all be better off. But it wasn't temporary. It was never going to be temporary. No, it wasn't. We sat quietly again, both of us lost in our own thoughts. Jack, I need to tell you something else. My stomach clenched. What? Carson wasn't the only one. The words hung in the air like a toxic cloud. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. What do you mean? There was someone else, before Carson. That's how I learned that this was an option. Who? My previous boss, Richard Hendricks. It started about 2 years ago, when I was up for the promotion to senior marketing coordinator. 2 years. She'd been doing this for 2 years. How many others, Lila? Just those two, I swear. Just those two. Just 2 men you prostituted yourself to while married to me? Jack? No, don't. Don't try to minimize this or explain it away. You've been cheating on me for 2 years. 2 years of lies and betrayal, and I don't even know who you are anymore. I stood up, my chair scraping against the concrete porch. Where are you going? I don't know. Anywhere but here. Please don't leave. We need to talk about this. Talk about what? About how my wife has been selling herself to her bosses for 2 years while I thought we had a normal marriage. About how everything I believed about our life together was a lie. It wasn't all a lie. My feelings for you, my love for Maya, our family, that was all real. Was it? Because I don't know how you separate those things. I don't know how you come home to your family after spending the afternoon in a motel room with your boss. I compartmentalized. Stop saying that word. You didn't compartmentalize anything. You contaminated everything. Every kiss, every I love you, every family moment was built on a foundation of lies. I walked to the edge of the porch, gripping the railing so hard my knuckles went white. I want you out of the house. Jack, I want you out. Tonight. Go stay with your sister, get a hotel room, I don't care. but I can't have you here anymore. What about Maya? Maya deserves better than watching her parents destroy each other every day. She deserves her family intact. Her family was never intact, Lila. It just took me 2 years to figure that out. She was crying now, but I couldn't bring myself to care. The woman sitting behind me wasn't my wife. My wife wouldn't have done these things. My wife wouldn't have betrayed our marriage for money and career advancement. Please, Jack, give me one more chance. Let me prove that I can be the woman you married. You can't be her. She's gone. You erased her the moment you decided Carson Morrison mattered more than our marriage vows. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that I've been living a lie for 2 years? Is it fair that our daughter is being ostracized at school because of your choices? Is it fair that I have to look at you every day knowing that you chose other men over me? I never chose them over you, didn't you? Every time you met them at that motel, you chose them. Every time you lied to me about working late, you chose them. Every time you came home and pretended to be my faithful wife, you chose them. I turned to face her, and for a moment I saw a glimpse of the woman I'd married, vulnerable, scared, desperately sorry for what she'd done. But it was too late for sorry. Pack a bag, Lila. I'll give you until tomorrow to find somewhere else to stay. After that, you can talk to my lawyer about visitation with Maya and dividing our assets. You're divorcing me. Yeah, I'm divorcing you. She nodded slowly, wiping tears from her face. I love you, Jack. Despite everything, despite all the mistakes I've made, I love you. I know you do, but love isn't enough anymore. The next morning, I woke up alone in our bed for the first time in 22 years. Lila's suitcase was gone from the closet, and there was a note on the kitchen table. Jack, I'm staying at my sister's house for now. Please tell Maya I love her, and that none of this is her fault. I'll call her tonight to explain. I know you hate me right now, and I don't blame you, but someday, when the anger fades, I hope you'll remember that I never meant to hurt you. Everything I did because I thought it would make our lives better. I was wrong about everything except one thing. I love you more than I've ever loved anyone, and losing you is the worst consequence of all my terrible choices. Lila. I crumpled up the note and threw it away. When Maya came downstairs for breakfast, she immediately noticed her mother's absence. Where's Mom? She's staying at Aunt Jennifer's for a while. Because you kicked her out? Because we both need some space to figure things out. Maya sat down at the table, studying my face. Are you okay, Dad? No, sweetheart. I'm not okay, but I will be. Are we going to be okay, you and me? Yeah, we're going to be fine. Better than fine. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I actually believed that might be true. 3 weeks after Lila moved out, I was finally starting to sleep through the night. The house felt different, quieter, but also cleaner somehow. Like a weight had been lifted that I hadn't even realized I was carrying. Maya was adjusting better than I'd expected. She spent Wednesday evenings and every other weekend with her mother, but she seemed relieved to have a break from the constant tension that had filled our home for months. Dad, can I ask you something? She said one evening while we were making dinner together. Sure. Do you think Mom is a bad person? I paused, considering my answer carefully. I think your mother is a person who made very bad choices, but that doesn't make her fundamentally evil. Do you still love her? I love the woman I married, but I'm not sure that woman exists anymore. Maya nodded thoughtfully. I think she does. I think she just got lost for a while. Maybe, but sometimes people get so lost they can't find their way back. And sometimes they need help finding their way. I looked at my daughter, 16 years old and wiser than most adults I knew. Are you suggesting I should help your mother find her way back? I'm suggesting that maybe forgiveness isn't just about her. Maybe it's about you too. That night, after Maya had gone to bed, I sat in my workshop thinking about what she'd said. For weeks, I'd been focused on my anger, my betrayal, my hurt. But Maya was right. Holding on to that anger was hurting me more than it was hurting Lila. I wasn't ready to reconcile. I might never be ready for that. But maybe I was ready to stop hating my wife. The next day, I called my lawyer and told him to pause the divorce proceedings. Are you sure about this, Jack? Once you start the reconciliation process, it gets complicated if you change your mind again. I'm not reconciling. I just need more time to figure out what I really want. Okay, but don't wait too long. The longer this drags out, the harder it gets on everyone involved. That evening, I called Lila. Jack, is everything okay? Is Maya? Maya's fine. I wanted to talk to you about something. Okay. I've put the divorce on hold. Silence on the other end of the line. What does that mean? It means I'm not ready to make permanent decisions while I'm still angry, and it means maybe we should try counseling. Really? Really. But Lila, I need you to understand something. This isn't me saying I forgive you or that we're getting back together. This is me saying I want to try to understand what happened to our marriage before I decide whether it can be saved. I understand. And Jack, thank you for giving us a chance. Don't thank me yet. We have a lot of work to do. Our first counseling session was the following Tuesday. Dr. Sarah Martinez was a family therapist who specialized in infidelity recovery. She was direct without being harsh, empathetic without being enabling. I want to start by establishing some ground rules, she said after we'd settled into her office. First, complete honesty. No more lies, no more secrets, no more protecting each other's feelings at the expense of the truth. Second, no attacks. You can express anger and hurt, but you can't use this space to punish each other. Third, commitment to the process. This is going to be difficult and uncomfortable, but if you're not both fully committed to doing the work, we're wasting everyone's time. Lila and I both agreed to the rules. Good. Now, Lila, I want you to tell Jack everything, not just about the affairs, but about what led to them. What was missing in your life that made this seem like an acceptable solution? For the next hour, Lila talked about her childhood, her fears about money, her frustration with feeling powerless in her career. She talked about the gradual erosion of her moral boundaries and how easy it became to justify increasingly questionable choices. I told myself I was being practical, she said, that I was using the resources available to me to improve our family's situation, but the truth is, I was angry. Angry at Jack for not making more money, angry at myself for not being more successful, angry at a system that seemed designed to keep me from advancing. So you decided to game the system. I decided to take control, but I lost control instead. Dr. Martinez turned to me. Jack, what's your reaction to what Lila just shared? I'm angry that she was angry at me for not making enough money. I work hard. I provide for our family. I've never complained about her income or made her feel bad about our financial situation. But you knew she was frustrated with your lifestyle. I knew she wanted more, but I thought we were building something together. I thought we were partners working toward common goals. And when you realized she was working toward those goals in ways that excluded you, I felt betrayed, not just by the cheating, but by the fact that she'd given up on us, on our ability to build a better life together through honest work and shared sacrifice. Dr. Martinez nodded. Leela, do you understand why Jack feels that your actions represented giving up on your marriage? I do now, but at the time, I thought I was fighting for our marriage. I thought I was doing what needed to be done to give us the life we deserved, without consulting your partner, without consulting my partner. Jack, can you understand why Lila felt desperate enough to make these choices? I was quiet for a long time, thinking about the question. I can understand feeling desperate, I said finally. What I can't understand is why she didn't talk to me about it. Why she didn't say, Jack, I'm unhappy with our financial situation and I'm considering doing something drastic to change it. Would you have supported her decision? Of course not, but we could have talked about alternatives. We could have made a plan together. Lila, why didn't you include Jack in your decision-making process? Because I knew he'd try to talk me out of it, and because I was ashamed of what I was considering. So you decided to do it anyway. I decided to do it anyway. And how do you feel about that decision now? Like the stupidest person who ever lived. We left that first session with homework. Lila was asked to write a detailed account of her affairs, not the intimate specifics, but the emotional and psychological progression that led to her choices. I was asked to write about my sense of being wronged and what I would need to see from Lila to even consider rebuilding trust. It took me 3 days to write my letter. When I was finished, it was 12 pages long and covered everything from my initial shock and disbelief to my current confusion about whether our marriage could survive. The key section read, I need to believe that the woman I married still exists somewhere inside you. I need to see evidence that you understand the magnitude of what you've done to our family. And I need to know that you're capable of making different choices in the future, even when those choices are difficult or uncomfortable. Lila's letter was even longer. She detailed every step of her descent into infidelity, from her initial frustration with our financial situation to her final meeting with Carson at the motel. But more importantly, she wrote about the person she'd become during that time. I turned into someone I don't recognize, she wrote. Someone who could lie to the people she loved most. Someone who could justify betrayal by calling it sacrifice. Someone who lost sight of what actually mattered in pursuit of what she thought she wanted. Our second counseling session focused on those letters. Jack, after reading Lila's account, do you have a better understanding of her mindset during this period? I understand it better, but understanding it doesn't make it acceptable. I'm not asking you to find it acceptable. I'm asking if you can see how she got from point A to point B. Yes, she made a series of increasingly bad decisions, each one making the next one easier to justify. Lila, what's your reaction to Jack's letter? It breaks my heart, reading about how my choices affected him, how they affected Maya, how they destroyed his trust in our marriage. I never fully understood the scope of the damage I was causing. Do you think that damage can be repaired? I hope so, but I know it's not up to me. It's up to Jack. Dr. Martinez looked at me. Jack, what would it take for you to consider staying in this marriage? Complete transparency. No more secrets, no more lies, no more hidden emails or phone calls or meetings. If Lila gets a text message, I want to be able to read it. If she has a conversation with a male colleague, I want to know about it. That sounds like surveillance, not trust. Right now, surveillance is all I can offer. Maybe someday it will turn back into trust, but that's going to take time. Lila, are you willing to accept that level of scrutiny? Yes, if that's what it takes. Even if it feels invasive or controlling? I gave up my right to privacy when I started lying to my husband. Over the following weeks, we established new routines. Lila found a job at a small marketing firm, lower pay than her previous position, but honest work with no possibility of conflicts of interest. She moved back into the house, but into the guest bedroom. We had dinner together as a family every night, but kept our conversations focused on Maya and practical matters. Slowly, very slowly, we began to rebuild something that resembled a functional relationship. Dad, are you and Mom getting back together? Maya asked one evening while we were doing dishes. We're working on it, but it's complicated. Do you love her again? I never stopped loving her, sweetheart. But love isn't always enough to fix what's broken. What else does it take? Trust, respect, shared values, all the things that make a marriage work. Do you think you'll ever trust her again? I don't know, but I'm willing to try. 3 months into counseling, we had our first major breakthrough. Lila had been offered a promotion at her new job, not a big one, but a step up with more responsibility and better pay. I turned it down, she told me that evening. Why? Because it would require some travel and late evening meetings, and I know that would make you uncomfortable. Layla, you can't